As a business owner, did you think that travel would be a bigger part of your life? Did you think owning a business would give you the freedom to go off gallivanting around the world, going to those beautiful places, doing the things you love? But then it didn't happen. Business ownership should deliver that. And you can definitely head off traveling if you own a business. I'm Andrew Laurie from BGB, and I want to talk about, well, absolutely showing you that it's possible, and just a little bit of a highlight package on how. Now, from my perspective, I suppose my direct experience of this, a few years ago I built a coaching business in Sydney, and about 5 years after starting the business, after opening the doors for the first time, took the family off to France for a year. The boys were 7 and 10 at the time, and we wanted them to have a year of French schooling, learn French, and we wanted to go skiing for a full ski season in Europe. So we did it. I've got a client at the moment who's about a year and a half into, I think it'll end up being a 2 or 3 year stint in Spain, traveling Spain with his partner, while his business in Sydney goes from strength to strength. Another client also about to head off to Europe in a couple of months' time. I think plan to take the family for about 9 months in that case. Or is it smaller holidays? A client who took his family around the world for 8 or 9 months, just traveling to all sorts of different places when their young son was, I think at the time, 3 or 4. There are so many examples. It is absolutely possible. Unfortunately, while business ownership promises this freedom, promises the opportunity to travel the world and enjoy it, it so often doesn't deliver on that promise. The stats don't support this, but absolutely it's possible. Now, for today, I'm just going to cover in the briefest version the things that need to happen for it to be possible. In subsequent posts and videos, I'll go into a bit more detail about the different elements. But I want to emphasize today that A, it's possible, and B, to get there should be a fairly systematic, intentional approach. There are 4 things that need to be in place. Now, we actually talk most of the time about the 6 steps to building a successful business. And to me, a successful business satisfies 2 criteria. It absolutely has to produce a certain income for the owner. What income you want to take is really up to you, but it produces reliably the right income for the owner, and it doesn't require the owner to turn up every day. It works without the owner. That's a successful business. Now, to get to that point, it's not 6 steps. There are 4 steps you must take. The extra 2 steps you can take if you want. They're not mandatory. If you're motivated, you'll pursue them. But the 4 steps you have to go through to get to that definition of a successful business. Have to have the right set of controls in place. Need to know what's going on. Need to know where you're going. You need to have sufficient growth, sufficient cash flow. This is about sales and marketing, and it's turning that into a reliable, almost sales and marketing machine that delivers that cash flow and delivers that growth into the future. So you've got controls and got cash flow. Third thing you need to do is put the systems in place that make the business reliable. It's about having it process driven. It's a systematic business. It's consistent and reliable. And the 4th element is having the team. The right team in place, recruiting them, managing them the right way so that they're motivated, they're productive and reliable. Now, when you've got a set of controls in place, you've got reliable cash flow and growth, it's systematized, and you've got a decent team, that business will work without you. Within those 4 areas, there are a specific set of things you have to put in place. We can guide you through that. It's all been done enough times before. We know what's required. We know how to do it. You put it in place, and sure enough, the business works without you. Now, how long does it take to put that all in place? In our experience, I guess for many people, of course, they don't reach that point, which is sad. For those who do reach it, they often reach it almost accidentally. They survive a long enough period of time. It might be 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And through the different cycles of economic activity, they end up putting a bunch of things in place and the business goes okay. However, if you're intentional, you start day 1, let's say, with this plan to do it. You know what those 4 areas are and the 50 odd things that have to be done, and you do lay them out in the right sequence and you implement them effectively. It'll be a much quicker process. Where I talked about my coaching business, it took us about 3.5 years to get to the point that I didn't need to turn up day by day. we headed off after about 5-6 years. I think within 5 years or 6 years, it should certainly be the case in any business starting from scratch. Now, if you've already got a business, you've already got cash flow, you're already a proven concept, maybe you've got a few customers, maybe you have a couple of team members possibly, then it's just going to be a small number of years to get there. You can do this quite quickly. In reality, you should be able to start traveling the world before that though. I've got a client at the moment who's not at that point. She can't hand over her business completely for the next year. But she took a month to go to Italy last year. I think it was last year. She's just been over to America. I think she spent about 3 weeks in New York. Got another client who 6 weeks in Greece last year. One of our members actually. I think this year it's Greece and a couple of other places as well for a similar time frame. So being able to take a month off to go traveling, to be able to take a few weeks to go and pursue some other activity, that should happen quickly. Put the 4 steps in place and get them done to an 80% level. You get there quickly. Enjoy the traveling. This is business ownership. You've taken the risk. You've done the hard work to build a business. You've probably invested some money at some point. You should get the freedom that allows you to do the things you love. And if travel is one of them, it's a great one. It's one of my favourites. We've actually just got back. We were skiing in France last month. And in a couple of months, we're off to Western Australia for a month or so, for 3.5 weeks. And then we've got big plans for the Christmas holidays. Have those plans. Make sure the business gets there. Almost every business, in fact, I think from my experience, every business can get there. Lay out the plan. Do it intentionally. Enjoy the travel. If you've got questions about what are those 4 areas, what's the detail, what are those 50 things, get in touch. More than happy to either give you the model or to suggest a couple of particular areas maybe you need to focus first and get cracking with it. Enjoy the results. All the best.